good, YouTube? So today I'm back again with another video. Okay, I'm back again with another video. Today I'm gonna react on three three true stories about clowns. Three true stories about clowns. Okay, so you better like this video. Like, guys, if you don't give me 50 likes or maybe 100 likes, a clown is going to visit your house today. Like, you're going to see a clown in front of your door today, this evening, today. Okay, so let's get into the video. True three stories about clowns. Okay, so you better like this video, subscribe to the channel, or a clown is going to visit your house. Let's get into the video. Let's go.
Has their own style, so I hope you still enjoy this video. All of that being said, let's begin. Oh, and one more thing. Stay hungry. I am a 19-year-old female, about 165 pounds. I am also 5'9". I live with my grandmother and we don't really get along all that well, but I don't have any other options for me at the moment, so I manage. I usually have to take out the garbage when she asks me to, and I really hate doing it. This week we had a lot to sit out because my grandmother was getting a new bed and her room had a lot of shit in it that needed to be cleaned out to make room. I was getting her old computer stand that she calls the monstrosity, and I had to clean shit out of my room and, well, make it fit. This is why we had a lot of shit to get rid of this week, and I was the one to have to make it all fit in one small ass bin. It was about 10 p.m. and this wasn't even the latest I've taken out the trash. I have taken it out at 3 a.m. before just because my grandmother was on the phone with another one of her stupid daughters that was getting the bed. I had already taken the trash out and I had to fix that goddamn recycle bin. Ours is way too small, so I had to flatten the boxes to make everything fit without falling out. I was in the garage and the garage door was open. I live in a quiet little nest of townhomes and we don't own a car, so the garage is the place for everything that isn't being used. Now, I listen to creepy stories on YouTube, and I was listening to one before I started taking out the trash. This already made me a bit jumpy, being outside in the cold, in the quiet dark, in the month of October, alone. I know people do crazy shit to scare people for kicks, but it never happened to me before, so me looking up ever so often to the door wasn't really out of the question for me. Of course, I knew I was overreacting, but I still felt uneasy, like I knew something wasn't right. I was fiddling with the recycle bin for about 5 minutes at this point when I glanced up at the door. To my complete horror, I saw a clown standing in the middle of the sidewalk of my driveway, staring right at me. All the blood from my face drained. I couldn't help but feel it. You always hear about these things, but until you live it, be thankful you don't know what it feels like. The clown was straight out of a horror movie. Smudgy makeup, red nose and hair, black and white stripped clown outfit with rainbow spots. I was frozen in fear. I really never felt fear before in my life, and this isn't something I ever want to feel again. I shot up when it took a step forward. I was staring at him, scared shitless, and prayed my grandmother wouldn't come back to the door. I don't care for my grandmother, but I don't want her hurt. We don't get along, but I still care, if you know what I mean. It may sound cold, but whatever. The damn clown took another step forward. It was at this point that I noticed it. How had I missed something so important? The clown had a butcher knife. At this point, the clown was about 5 footsteps from the garage door. I knew if I had stayed out any longer, I was probably going to die. I really don't know how I did this, and it's really a blur because of the adrenaline that was rushing through me. All I remember was that fucker was grinning, showing piss yellow teeth and running at me. Somehow I managed to jump backwards inside the thankfully open door and close it using all of my weight to force it shut. Thank God that I always make sure the door leading to the garage is locked 24/7 because I always am afraid of someone barging in. The cloud was banging on the metal door and trying to break it down. At this point, my grandmother came to see what the hell was going on, and I told her to call the cops right now. She went to grab the phone and I was still holding myself against the door. I had my shoes on and I had a strong grip against the floor. This fucker wasn't getting in. The banging got more frantic as the guy was backing up, then banging into the door with his whole body. I placed both my feet on the other door leading to the kitchen. My house has the kitchen and laundry room together, and the laundry room leads to the garage. It's no more than 2 regular doors large, and I am 5'9", so this was good in my case, to hold my upper back against the door with my feet up like this. The banging went on forever, or so that's what it felt like. I heard the cop cars as they were probably coming down my street, and one last bang that broke that lock on the door and made the door open an inch before I shoved it closed. Nothing else for about 30 seconds. I heard the cop cars and I knew they were right outside my house. And no more than seconds later, I heard the cop saying, "Open up, this is the police." I put my feet down, still ready to slam the door closed in case this was the damn clown. I know this was stupid because I heard the cars and the radio, but hell, I was scared shitless and on edge. Don't tell me you wouldn't be too. I cracked the door to see a cop with his gun drawn in his hand. I opened the door all the way and my knees gave out and I fell on my ass staring at the knife stabbed in the metal door. The cop could easily see the trash that was kicked around from the guy and my very pale look and the face that I was visibly shaking. About 5 to 6 cops showed up and took a look around the outside of my house and took statements and removed the knife from the door. They said we'd get a call back in a couple of days. 2 of the cops are still driving past my street about every half hour. I was never scared of clowns. I'm still not, but hell, I don't like them and I don't want to see any clowns for a good while. I messaged one of my friends and told her about it. I think that she thought I was joking, so I didn't bother telling her about the knife and I just kinda left it at that. I never really thought about this kind of shit. Never happened in real life and I wouldn't want this kind of thing to happen to me ever. But I was wrong. This can happen to anyone. Never think that it can't. This world is full of crazy fuckers that just want to scare the shit out of you or just plain want to kill you for kicks. Always pay attention around you. To the fucker dressed as a clown and trying to kill me and scared the living shit out of me tonight, I hope we never meet again. If you have seen the news lately, there have been reports of clowns luring children into the forest. I was one of the first to experience this happen. It was utterly terrifying. I want to remain anonymous at the moment, just in case the clowns find out who I am. Anyways, here is what happened. I am 14 years old and live in a small town in South Carolina. The town has a population of around 130 people. Summer was just about over and I had a summer job working at the local lumber yard. It was a great place to work. I helped customers load lumber into their vehicles. A pretty mindless job. I was able to stay physically fit. The best part is that my house is exactly 1 mile away. Walking to and from work is a daily occurrence. I spent a long day hauling and moving lumber and my work day was pretty much complete. It was about 9:30 p.m. when I started to walk home. The moon was just starting to light up the road and the sun had completely set below the hills. There was no other houses between the lumberyard and my house. Our town is very rural. The road home has hills that peak high enough that you are unable to see what's on the other side until you crest it. The road is skinny with no shoulder but is freshly paved. The trees stack one by one behind each other in a row and vegetation is thick with a few game trails coming out to the road. Crickets and frogs sound like an orchestra. The walk home usually takes about 30 minutes. I have done it so many times that I usually entertain myself with music. I put in my earbuds, throw on some tunes, and away I went. I was about halfway home when I hear what sounds like a high-pitched crackling laugh. What the hell was that? I said to myself out loud. I took out my earbuds and stopped. I thought it was part of the music, but something about it did not fit well into the song. I stood there motionless, looking to hear the same sound again. The frogs croaking were so loud that not even a scream could be heard. I thought nothing of it and continued walking home. The next day, I started my shift at 2 p.m. I started my walk to work around 1:30. Nothing was out of the ordinary. It was a beautiful day. I usually look down at my feet and kick any rocks that I have seen. Having them skip across the fresh pavement was oddly satisfying. I kicked a rock and it skipped across the pavement and landed next to something strange. Laying in the dirt on the side of the road, it looked to be a bright red ball. I picked it up, gave it a little pressure, and it squeaked. I immediately knew what it was. "This is a clown nose," I said to myself. "What the hell is it doing out here?" I kept it and carried it to work to show the
What
other
the
staff
fuck? Oh my
members.
God.
I
Sorry,
even put it
guys.
on and gave it some honks. I got a few laughs.
So sorry.
The day went on as usual, and around 9:30 p.m. I clocked out in the beginning to my long walk
This is
home.
crazy.
I forgot my earbuds at home, so I was unable to listen to my usual music. While on my way home, I was able to make out a faint image of a figure about 150 yards away of what looked like a deer standing in the middle of the road. It was hard to make out as the fog hovered on the ground and the moonlight backlit the animal. As I got within 100 yards, it must have gotten spooked. I could see a rough outline scamper back into the forest. Little did I know, this was not a deer, but something more sadistic. I passed the spot in which the deer took off back into the woods. As I walked by, I heard footsteps about 20 yards behind me. I thought this was strange, as I have never seen a deer come back out on the road once it was scared off. Before I could look back, I heard, "Hey there." I turned my head to see a clown standing in the middle of the road with his hands behind his back. He wore baggy pants and a baggy shirt that was obviously a clown costume, but it was very dirty. So dirty that the colors faded into stains. His makeup ran down his face and his eyes were black. He tilted his head to the side of me and said, "I think you have something of mine. I need it back." He gave a small little laugh after he spoke. I don't have anything of yours," I said as I started walking backwards. My house was still a quarter-mile away. This is when the situation went from odd to terrifying. He said, "Well then, if you don't have my nose, I'm gonna need yours." He pulls out 2 machetes behind his back and clinked them together. "Run," he yelled. I turn around with all of my might and I take off running down in the middle of the road. I can hear his feet running. I didn't look back as it could slow me down. The blades of the machetes drug on the asphalt. I was in great shape, but I could hear his footsteps getting louder, signaling he was gaining on me. He even let out a little giggle that would feed my adrenaline even more. My lungs started to burn. I began to crest the hill, and at this moment I can hear him almost right behind me, just about touching me. Out of nowhere, a truck crests the hill with his headlights shining me. I wave my arms in sheer panic. He stops. I quickly look behind me to see nothing. The clown is gone. I tell the man in the truck what had happened, and he calls the police. I will never make that walk again. I have no idea how the clown got to that location and why he waited for me. I have never seen any vehicles parked, nor there is any houses for miles. This has been my worst nightmare that came true. Now I have found out this is happening to more people. Clowns hiding in the woods. Is this a cult? A group of scary clowns with the goal to terrify people? I have no idea, but I do know of one thing, that I am never able to walk in the dark or see clowns the same way again.
Yeah.
Please, people, stay safe out there and be aware of your surroundings while walking alone in the dark. You don't know what is out there. A little backstory. I was 10 at the time and I was visiting my hometown in Ecuador for the summer. At the time, I knew just about everyone in my small little town of...
Guys, I'm so scared right now because I always walk around, I think 4 to 5 in the morning after work. We close around 4 or 5 and then I have to walk back home. Like, I'm so scared right now. I'm so scared right now.
Velocity,
I hope
and so
this
did
never
my
happens
parents,
to me.
which is why they let me go on my own that day. Anyways, here's my encounter. Back when I was 10 years old, my family decided to take a visit to my hometown of Ecuador. We went for the summer and planned out just about our whole stay. One day, my mom and dad were getting ready to go to a wedding, and I was in the house with them. My big sister went over to a friend's house, and my other relatives had already left for the wedding. I was supposed to stay home, alone for the duration, but I saw that it was a beautiful day out, and decided to ask my mom and dad to go to a park that was no more than 2 blocks away. They were reluctant at first, stating that there would be nobody to take care of me, but I argued that it was a beautiful day out and there was no way that the park would be empty. They kept getting dressed as I kept on arguing until they finally gave in. They said that I can go to the park as long as I was back before dark. I agreed and ran outside to head for the park. It took me no more than 10 minutes to get there and I was ready to make new friends and play around. But, oddly enough, there was nobody else in the park. It looked almost abandoned, which was weird seeing as how this was one of the 2 parks in the whole city. It should have been packed, but I paid no mind to it. I believe I ran to a swing set, or a slide. It was like 12 years ago, I can't remember. but then I started playing around. As I played, I suddenly heard a voice from the distance. A clown was on the other side of a gate and motioning for me to get closer. Behind him was a white van, which I had noticed before, but just thought it was a delivery truck of sorts. I slowly started walking towards the clown and stopped a good distance away from him. He asked me a question. "Hey kid, do you like clowns?" I nodded no to him and he gave me that clown frown and then said, "Well then, let me see if I can change that." He opened up his car and by looking inside I saw there was only 2 boxes, though I wasn't sure what they were filled with, and that was it. No seats, no posters. Just 2 boxes and then complete emptiness. Being a child still, I paid no mind to it and watched as he pulled out a deflated balloon. He wrapped his lips around the end and blew till the balloon was fully inflated. He tied the end and started to form the balloon into a balloon animal of a dog. He showed it to me and I smiled. He then motioned to me to come a little closer, to which I complied. He handed the balloon to me and said, "Do you like?" I nodded yes this time and gave him a little smile. He then grinned in the creepiest way possible. The grin was so creepy that even as a kid I knew to back away a bit. The clown then said if I wanted to see the rest of his tricks, I would have to get into the truck. I told him that the exit was on the other side of the park and I wouldn't be able to climb the small gate. He then said the few words that haunt me to this day. "Get a little closer and I'll carry you over. Then we can have loads of fun in my truck. Come on, kid." While saying this, he still had that creepy grin plastered across his face. I merely backed away and told him, "No, it's okay, sir." His grin turned into anger as though he was annoyed at this. He placed his hands on his hips and said to me, "Oh, but we were going to have so much fun." Right then, I heard a voice on the other side of the park yelling, "Son, I'm here to pick you up." I turned and saw a man that I recognized as a local neighbor. He was not my father, obviously, but the little me knew to run over to him. I said nothing to the clown. I just ran to the man and gave him a hug. The man waved to the clown and said, "Thanks for keeping my kid entertained." To which the clown replied, "No problem." As we turned around, I was able to hear this man murmur, "Sick fuck." I looked at him and asked, "Sir, what exactly is going on?" He gave a sigh and explained everything. As it turns out, that was no real clown. He was a man that had been kidnapping children all across of Ecuador. He would lure kids with the clown costume and take them away to God knows what place. The people of my town had a feeling he was coming to our town, which was why the whole park was deserted. He said that he was walking by when he noticed that I was talking to the clown and ran over to basically save me. As he told me this, he also dialed for the police to report this incident. We had finally arrived at my house and this man said, "Be careful with who you talk to, son. Not everyone is who they seem." I gave him one final hug and gave him a thanks for saving me from that sick fuck. He gave me a rub on the head and said, "It's okay, my boy. Now hurry on. I have my own things to worry about." I nodded and ran in the house. Nobody was there, and by the time they had returned, I had decided not to tell anyone since I knew they'd flip the fuck out. It took a while to forget about the whole incident, especially with those words that kept reminding me of him. But I soon forgot till I came across this page and memories of that clown flooded my head. I'm not quite sure what happened to this sicko, but hopefully he is now behind bars. Hopefully. So to that creepy clown fuck from a long time ago, I hope I never see you again.
Guys, like this shit is so scary, man. It's so scary. I hope you enjoyed this video and you freak out. Please like this video, give it a thumb up, and please subscribe to my channel. I love you guys. Peace.